Welcome to another beautiful North Carolina weekend. I am Professor DIY and behind the camera I'm Mrs. DIY. This is our homestead in North Carolina, and today we're going to have another fun little episode. I don't know how little it will be, but we're going to use scraps, Irvana White, right? Scraps here, to do some additional fall decorations for you. We did one last week and you liked it quite a lot, so we figured out why not do another one. So stick around. You are our favorite viewer, and this is going to be a very fun episode. Decorations tend to be seasonal, number one, and number two, are very expensive, partially because they're seasonal, and generate a problem of storing them and using them next year and so forth, right? So today, at least one of the little projects we're going to make, we will try to make it a multi-seasonal decoration. And the key word here is try. Again, we are doing this in our mind. You're going to see us as we're going along. So stick around. We're going to find out if we're successful or not. So today, using nothing but scraps, we're going to build those two decorations that are appropriate for fall. And this one has a surprise hidden in it that we're going to show you later on today. This is a decoration we built last year, and we're leaving it here just to show you how nicely those things wear with time, right? So, and this actually stayed outside, was not even in the house. And as you can see, it's ready to display again. So it's worth doing those versus buying them. Now, you will not need a lot of equipment for this. You can do all it with hand tools. Power tools will make it a little faster for you, but definitely they're not required. So stick around, like always. We're going to show you every step of the way and tell you tips and tricks on how to achieve your own decorations. Using scraps for your projects, while significantly lowers the cost, also presents some new challenges for you. Here we're using scrap to create the dimensions we want for one of our projects, and as you can see, the boards are not flat. They've been in our shop for a while. The dimension is not absolutely what we want, but we're going to make it work, and you're just seeing us spending some time making the scrap what we want. Do not try to find exactly what you want from your scrap. Just try to find something that you can make into what you want by using your tools to get there. You see here a little bit of movement on the piece, and that was my mistake, but it makes no real difference. Again, this is not perfection. The less perfect something is, the more handmade it looks, and it is okay to leave it as it is. Do not try to be perfect. Try to just be consistent. So the thickness here is important, and you see me going through the blade again to make sure that the thickness is the same, because the human eye is very sensitive to things like thicknesses and parallel lines. And these are going to be parallel to each other, so it is important that the thickness is fairly consistent, so it will look appropriate to the human eye. That is all. I'm not trying for perfection here. You can do that with a hand saw, but it will take you substantially longer, as you can see here. Everything we show you today can be done using just hand tools. You do not do power tools for any of it. The saw does not stop.
Say that again?
That is the tip of the day.
Say it again.
No matter how many times you press the start button, the saw does not stop.
That's correct.
So everyone should know that, right?
Right.
So we're trying to get to use most of, if not all of our scrap. It will be impossible to use all our scrap, but we'll make it a valiant effort, right? So everything we're going to use here is scrap, but even if you were to buy things, it will be fairly inexpensive, right? It will not be anything expensive.
All right, so these are the strips we just cut, and we are going to arrange them to be the body of our project today. And we're just kind of putting them in line close together, just kind of like you would a picket fence. Even though it is nice and cool today in North Carolina, the mosquitoes are still out to get us.
North Carolina mosquitoes don't know biology.
They don't know the difference in the seasons.
They
Yeah.
are not supposed to fly in this weather.
North Carolina.
They're
mosquitoes
hardy. They're very
are
hardy.
and
Or
they
a
don't
special
care.
case. Special case mosquitoes.
Just so happens that Alpida and I are particularly susceptible to them. So that's always fun.
They like us a lot.
All right, what is the next step? It might be too
So the
wide.
next step is we're going to shape this with pencil. we're gonna tape them together first of all, and then we're gonna shape it by drawing the shape of the object, bottom and top, and then we're also going to draw the face.
Okay.
So now we're gonna trace out the shape that we're going for the pieces that we have laid out, and tried to space pretty evenly. And as you can see, there's tape on the back side. We put the tape there and have flipped it over. Now we're tracing the shape. And then next step would be numbering the pieces,
Well, we should
Or
give number them before we turn the
cutting them out.
Yeah.
Somewhere in there you want to number all your pieces to make sure that you keep them in the correct order, wherever that is. And then it's cutting them out, or is it doing the part of
No.
the?
Cutting them.
Okay.
And then we're going to create a structure behind them to stay together. And then we're going to Suzuki bang. Suzuki bang.
Bang.
Bang, bang.
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 Bang. Bang. Bang.
Bang, man.
Okay. And somewhere in there, I'm going to be killing a bunch of mosquitoes.
Because they are not supposed to be flying today.
So I have drawn the outline of our jack-o'-lantern here on the boards as they're all stuck together. And I've then drawn the facial features, the mouth and the eyes of our jack-o'-lantern. And I decided to leave this middle board here extra long. I'm not going to cut anything off the top, and that'll be our stem of the pumpkin. And I think now that they're all numbered, I've numbered each one here. We are ready to take them apart, and we're going to make these cutouts.
Marked. And we're ready to cut. But how you're going to cut, right? We are going to use a bandsaw simply because we have a bandsaw and it is the fastest tool to use for this application, right?
Right.
But Mrs. DIY, what if you don't have a bandsaw?
Well, there are another number of implements you could use. The most simple would be a regular hacksaw. This would be a little bit difficult on a more delicate piece, just because you have to, make this curve on something like this. But you could do it if you took your time and worked at it a little bit at a time. Another option would be this flexible Japanese saw, because you can really take the contours and get into a much smaller space with it. So that's another option. And we also have a jigsaw, which is a power tool, obviously, but it has a number of types of blades, and the one we have on it right now is a very small blade.
Very fine.
Very fine, very small, and could get into those crevices like we're looking to do.
And also, jigsaws are fairly inexpensive. Most wood shops these days will have a jigsaw. They
Yep.
will not have a bandsaw. And that's why we're talking about that. We don't need to have the tools we're going to use today to do this project. We can do it with hand tools or very basic, inexpensive power tools. Let the cutting begin. We are using a bandsaw because we have it and it is the fastest way to do it. We must finish producing the video, edit it and publish it. But in general, you do not need power tools for any of our projects. Do not try to be perfect here. This is a handmade decoration. You want it to be a little rough. You want it known that it is not made in a factory somewhere. So, while you want to keep the general shape and size, do not try to be perfect. Making this project perfect will actually ruin it, will not improve it in any measurable way. So, and you see the reason why we're using the bandsaw since we have it. It is by far the fastest tool to do these cuts, right? A jigsaw will be a little slower, but reasonably fast, but definitely a handsaw will be the slowest way to do it. But definitely no need to have a bandsaw. This is a clear example of where the right tool, equipped with the right accessories, i.e. the correct blade for making tight curves, shines. We have the correct blade here. You see is a thin blade, so we can make curves, and the bandsaw makes quick work of this. We are going to let you watch this because it is fun to see. However, keep in mind, a nice handsaw can do the same cuts. This is not really difficult. Again, it's only a matter of time. We want to do it in a faster time than if we were just having fun with the project. But if you want to teach your kids how to do this, or if you want it as an heirloom, something to remember in the future, a hand tool is totally appropriate and totally fine. Do not be afraid of hand tools, They really teach you the craft better and they really allow you to enjoy what you're doing and feel the wood, create memories much more than the power tool does. In our case, we have the bandsaw. Most places do not have a bandsaw. A good jigsaw with a fine blade, a blade that is intended for finishing, can do this in slightly longer amount of time, and a handsaw can also do this in a much greater amount of time. Also, if you happen to have a scroll saw, if you are into arts and crafts, a lot of people have a scroll saw. A scroll saw is also perfect for this. We have a scroll saw, but for some reason we're not in the habit of using it as much as we should. The bandsaw is a little faster than a scroll saw, and it is usually the tool we reach for when we're trying to do a project like the one you're seeing today. Do whatever makes you comfortable, utilizing whatever tools you have. Do not go out and buy new tools just to make a simple project you saw on the YouTube. There is something satisfying when you're watching the bandsaw work or anything sawing, as it does an amazing job changing the shape of the wood that you're working with in very few strokes. You can see here we're changing what is in essence planks of wood into intricate shapes with great ease in a really short period of time. I like watching it, and I hope you do too, and this is the reason why I've left quite a long montage out of all the footage we took, showing you how the bandsaw transforms what we're making into a final finished piece really easily. This is not sped up. We could speed it up if we wanted to make a shorter video, but I think it's important to see the process. And the process also sometimes teaches you if you do not have the experience to understand. For example, do not push the piece into the saw. Let the saw do the work. The saw cuts best with minimum pressure by allowing the blade to move smoothly and not bind. If you try to push the saw more than it needs to be, then you're going to have problems. You're going to bind. You're going to have the saw actually leaving burn marks. So learning how to use something is very useful when you're watching someone using it on a video. So I hope you enjoyed this long montage. Someone needs to teach North Carolina insects a little basic biology. We just discovered a carpenter bee hole. You see that perfect hole there? We would love to tell you we did it with our machinery, but we didn't. It's a carpenter bee hole, and they're not supposed to happen because this is a treated post, right? They're not supposed to burrow into treated posts, but clearly they didn't get the memo.
All right, so we have all the pieces that we've cut with our bandsaw, as we explained earlier. And what we've done now is lay them all back together. And it was a really good idea for us to label with the numbers in the order that they go, so we didn't get confused when we laid them all back together. And I want to call out these pieces in the middle. The strip of wood got cut in half so that we could make this opening. And you have to be really very careful if you're doing it in the way that we're doing it to make sure we don't cut off the teeth and we don't cut the wrong end. Make sure that you understand where your base is and where your top is before you start cutting, because you could make a mistake and cut your teeth off and cut something out that you didn't intend to.
That sounds painful, cutting your teeth off.
Yeah, be very, very careful there. And then always make sure to put everything back together to make sure that the cuts line up in the way that you want for the shapes. Now that we have it lined up, we can see, the spacing, make sure that's what we want. And then we need to attach these somehow. So what we've decided to do, I'm just going to line these up again because they got moved a little bit, is that we're going to use these small strips of wood that we cut from scrap, and we're going to attach them along the 3 sections at the bottom, in the middle, and this is for stability to keep all the pieces together, and then one more at the top. You can see it all within the border of the shape. And then we're going to put a base on this piece, and it's going to sit behind the facade here. And so we're going to have another piece that we're just going to put in for spacing. And then the base will sit here. So in the end, you won't see the base underneath the piece. It'll just be sitting behind it.
Now there are many ways we can attach this. We are going to use brad nails because we have them and it's a fast way, secure way. You can definitely use glue. You need to be careful. Nails, if they are the right length, right? Like with our brads, we don't want it to go through the wood, right? So there are various ways to do this. We are using another piece of scrap just to make sure we are flush in the bottom. We don't need to do anything in the top. And again, we're leaving this space because our base will go there. Arguably, this is the best way to attach the pieces. And of course, you could use glue. Hot glue will work great here, or any other type of glue. We like to use the pins because they are quick. They do not need any time to dry. Again, keep in mind we're running videos here, so you don't necessarily need the same functions. Now which one you want to do?
Yeah.
Can you hold it while I'm doing it? Now, we choose to use the Japanese burning method for finish, but you can finish it, of course, any way you want. And as you can see, it immediately changes the look of the piece.
I'm gonna just try a little bit of color here, the orange that we've got to see. And it's just, you know, meant to be the highlights. Because we've got this really nice burnished look.
So it's really just to put some color in the grain, but not to completely cover it up.
Right, for sure. And this can be an absolutely antique looking jack-o'-lantern here. Yeah, I'm liking this color.
Sorry if I'm doing sketchy work. I'm getting attacked by mosquitoes again. That's looking really nice. So we'll come back and show you when we finish.
Here is an example of the right tool but the wrong accessory. The blade we're using here, while very well suited to make nice curves, was not very well suited to go through very thick wood like the wood we're going to try to cut here. So it did not work for us. Extremely slow process, so we had to switch into one of our jigsaws, as you're going to see momentarily. Elpida is not very well versed in using a jigsaw, so I took this opportunity to help her learn how to do it. So you're not going to see here the best technique, but we all have to learn somewhere, and it was a great opportunity for her to learn how to use the jigsaw while we had to use it for this simple project. So just enjoy this little lesson. Here is a little clue for our upcoming announcement, and here you're going to see we are definitely not perfect. We make mistakes when we work, and Mrs. DIY got a very small injury here, but you can use the equipment that makes it more comfortable. One of the things I like about this kind of sander is, as you can see here, I use it, and in the background Mrs. DIY uses the part that makes her more comfortable. I do not have problems using this specific part of the sander, the belt side, but for some reason Mrs. DIY usually has a hard time, and most certainly she does not enjoy using the belt sander. Again, only use the equipment that you're comfortable using in a way that is safe for you. Any piece of equipment can be dangerous. It's not just the table so that it's dangerous. Any piece of equipment can be dangerous, and if you do not feel comfortable, please do not use that equipment. do something else, or go to a manual. I think that's good. So we're using the power sander because we have it, right? A hand sander or even a hand sander will do the same thing. Just it will take an ordinate amount of longer time depending on what you use. Again, if you have the tool, use it, but do not think that you need the tool in order to do the job. Excellent. So we found the middle of the first piece, which is the biggest piece, and now we want to find the middle on the adjacent piece. From our kit, and every kit has that, every dowel kit, they have little inserts that help you find the middle on your other piece. So enter that, don't push it with your finger, it's pointy. Pointy. Alright, and now on a flat surface, align it visually where you want and then press it together to make a divot. Alright? Now with the divot made, we're going to use these drill bits have a point that will go right in the divot and it positions it correctly.
Do you want it further?
Yeah, a little bit. Empty the thing.
Do you want glue in there?
Yes. So put the thing in, the dowel.
So now we're dry fitting. And we decided not to do glue so that these can be swivelly.
Go ahead and remove that piece. For both, because we're going to swivel them, it's important that the hole is in the middle. Right, one of you needs to make on the take the drill bit.
You need the drill.
Go in the middle hole.
Oh. Just go a little bit. Now we're doing that third one for the smallest piece, and we've made the divot.
We hope, I cannot see it, but
We did happen to find
Is that
that
there?
on a knot, so that's going to be a little difficult to see
okay.
and potentially
I
difficult
think
to
it's
drill.
there. We don't want two now. So the easiest way to attach a base to anything is to come first, locate your piece of art wherever you want it, and make some simple marks, which is what we did here. Then remove your piece. And now we know where the piece will go, right? With the 2 marks. Then make 2 thread depending. This is not heavy for us, so 2 screws were enough. Make 2 through pilot holes. And then we are going to drive the screws until they barely come on the other side.
In other words, taking it through the board to where just the tip of the screw is going to come through.
Right.
And then we'll be able to line it up with our bottom
Right.
piece. And now you can see the top part where we'll line it up.
In this is the case, you do not gun it. Because you want to see when it comes through. Okay. So when both of your screws are in, you want to locate it. Can you press it? Is it where you want it? Don't lift it. I need you to screw it now. Don't lift it.
I couldn't exactly climb under there and do it.
Go. Go.
Okay, so we got the base connected to the first piece. You can see we have the dowel to make the connection. Getting these two put on. And now we have, what do we have?
We have we have a snowman, right?
Right.
One half, it's bi-seasonal. Bi-seasonal. That's a new word.
Okay.
We're gonna have a snowman on one side and pumpkin faces on the other side.
Okay, awesome.
One of the tricky parts when you work with this, and you can do it with the way we did, take scraps and make circles, or you can find rounds. You can buy in the store, like any hobby store, wood rounds. But the problem with them is that they will not be flat, right? They will be circular, they will be irregular. So when you put them together, you're going to have an optical illusion thinking that your dowels are not straight because the surface you're doweling is not straight. When in reality they are straight, but the issue is that your whole device is not plumb. What is the right term? I don't even know what the right term. It's not plumb to the bottom surface. Is that the correct term?
Plumb is this
Right.
way, level.
And to show you how we made it plumb, we had to remove that much, which is a substantial amount, right? From the bottom in order for the device to look straight there. Don't know if it looks perfectly straight, but it definitely looked very crooked before, right? So Mrs. DIY, what is the next step?
I think it's paint.
Okay. Need to be parallel, perpendicular, I guess, to the wood you're- So this is the first time Mrs. DIY is using the Suzuki bun method because we decided we wanted this piece, just the edges, right, to be different than the front and the back, to have a nice contrast, I guess. And I must say, we used it for a long time with the little nozzle on the bottle, and this is such a better approach, isn't it? And I think more control. So, Mrs. DIY, have you told your viewers what this will be?
I believe I have.
So you're being particular about this on how you're putting the white paint on because you did the edging with the Shusugi band, right?
Right.
And we want to make sure that that still shows while still painting for the look that we're going for this project.
A white pumpkin? Is that the look we're going for?
Yes, a totally white pumpkin. Now all the white has been painted on and we're going to make a face for this snowman.
Oh, this is a convertible decoration, huh?
Yeah, multi-seasonal, bi-seasonal, is that what you said before?
Bicycle. All right, ladies, we're done. What are your thoughts?
I like them.
Yeah, they're all, different, and, I like that one that you can, it's more of a, like, pumpkin house, and you can put a candle in it. This one is more of a front porch style, that you can put candles behind, and light it up, rather than carving your own jack-o'-lantern. This one is reusable.
Yeah.
So how is it reusable? Show us.
It's reusable because we're not carving an actual pumpkin.
No, that one, the last one.
Well, she was talking about your jack-o'-lantern because if you have a pumpkin, it's going to rot, and then you
Right.
have to replace it every year. But this jack-o'-lantern, reusable every year. And then
this one is, you can decorate this any way you want. It's pumpkins. You can put some raffia on it or any kind of fall decor. And then you also have the opportunity to use it as a Christmas decoration. And you can also put like a red scarf here or plaid, something like that.
A convertible decoration.
Yeah, it's definitely a convertible. Multi-use, multi-season.
mm-hmm.
So, ladies, what was the hardest part of this?
I think the hardest part was lining up everything for this particular jack-o'-lantern, making sure that all the cuts were exactly where they needed to be, and we didn't cut off the wrong parts with our bandsaw.
Okay.
Wanted to make sure we maintain the shape, we maintain the spacing, and we got everything lined up.
And don't look for perfection.
Right.
When you're doing those craft kind of woodworking projects, they look better when they look imperfect, right?
Right.
Otherwise, they look like a factory somewhere made them. When the circles are perfect, when everything is impeccable, it doesn't look like a handmade thing because it isn't, right? Handmade means imperfections, which is what give character to the piece. Well, friends, I hope you enjoyed this episode, and if you did, we would appreciate a thumbs up. If you didn't, hit the other button twice. Share, like, subscribe. Let us know. Do you like episodes like that? And if you do, we're going to make more of them for you. From Professor DIY, Mrs. DIY, and Elpida, let's decorate together.